Okay, so there are new details about this new infrastructure plan that are getting passed. Looks like President Biden's going to sign it on Monday. This new spending bill is going to put out a lot of money into jobs and all of that. And I want to cover some of the new details on the stimulus. I'll cover those for you. That way you get updated on what's happening with all of the stimulus and what's coming up down the road as far as more stimulus going out. So the fourth golden stimulus checks, people in California should have received their fourth round of stimulus checks worth $500 by the end of October, part of the Golden State stimulus payment. The Franchise Tax Board said most households would expect direct payments by October 31st. California Gavin Newsom has estimated that around 2/3 of the state's population will receive cash under the Golden State Stimulus 2. That state previously said about 9 million tax returns qualified for the stimulus. If you live in California, it looks like you're going to be getting a stimulus check. Some of the other states, also Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Michigan, some of these other states are actually sending out checks to teachers, and then Florida sending out checks to frontline workers. So these are some of the states that are actually sending out more stimulus. One of the things that was proposed back in May was this recurring stimulus check. So setting up a recurring program that puts cash in Americans' pockets initially was proposed in the Senate back in May of 2020. That's when then Senator Kamala Harris of California teamed up with Senators Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Ed Markey of Massachusetts to introduce a bill that guaranteed a sum of $2,000 per month for each individual and up to $10,000 per family until the pandemic waned, according to CBS. Looks like they didn't get that passed. Maybe they'll get that passed in this new new infrastructure bill. There's spending bills coming up. I don't know if Nancy Pelosi will put that in there, but that's a possibility coming up, and I'll keep you updated on that new spending bill that's coming out. So it looks like President Biden is going to name someone outside the administration to head up this new infrastructure bill to get this done. So President Biden will tap someone from outside his administration to coordinate efforts and implement the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that passed Congress last week. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirmed at a briefing on Friday that Biden would seek out a person to oversee the distribution of funding and get projects underway. She did not specify who was under the consideration, but she said that expectations is it would be someone from outside the administration. The so-called infrastructure czar is likely to hold a similar role as Gene Sperling, the former Obama administration official who was brought in to supervise the implementation of the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan earlier this year. Biden will hold a ceremony at the White House on Monday to sign the bipartisan infrastructure bill into law. The White House was invited lawmakers from both parties, as well as governors, mayors, and business leaders who helped push for the bill's passage. The Biden administration is hoping to implement parts of this infrastructure bill as quickly as it can, hoping it can turn the legislation into jobs and visible progress for roads, bridges, ports, and other projects as it tries to make the case for its leadership on the economy. So we'll have to see if this is going to actually put money into people's pockets. This is part one of two of his big spending bill. He has that other giant spending bill that he's trying to get passed, and that's something that Congress is going to have to work on to get that done. So the White House is putting pressure on Congress to pass this bipartisan government spending funding bills. So the White House is putting some heat on Congress to strike a deal on the annual government funding bills, as negotiations across the aisle have failed to make much headway in recent months. The Office of Budget and Management said in a fact sheet sent out on Friday that Congress must reach a bipartisan biennial agreement on full-year appropriations bill for fiscal 2020 in the weeks ahead. The bills, the office said, will be crucial in addressing the nation's critical needs, including funding to improve readiness for future public health crises, bolster defense readiness and modernization, provide overdue investments in election infrastructure, support kids in high poverty schools, and ensure access to student loans and student aid. While the White House acknowledged annual appropriations bill brought forth by Democrats in the House and Senate to fund the government for the coming year, it instead looked forward to seeing a proposal from the House and Senate Republicans to continue bipartisan negotiations. I think the government is running into some big problems right now. They only bring in maybe $2 or $3 trillion in taxes, but they're spending upwards of $5-6 trillion every year in spending. So that what they're really doing to most of the people is that they're printing so much money and they're borrowing so much money that they're devaluing the currency so bad. And we might get to a point where we get into some type of hyper inflation type scenario, which is happening already right now. So I'm always trying to recommend people to get out of that, get into something like gold and silver, Get your cash out of the bank, get it into Bitcoin. I don't recommend sitting on the sidelines and waiting for this crash to happen. I think you got to get it in out of cash and get it into something that's going to be more of a hard asset. That'd be Bitcoin. That's going to be gold and silver. It's going to protect your wealth a lot better than just sitting in a bank right now. One of the things that's happening right now is this number of Americans quitting their jobs. I was reading this article and I was just amazed at what's happening. And what they're saying, this is absolutely, it's not even on point here. It says number of percentage of U.S. workers voluntarily leaving their jobs reached an all-time high in September, according to data released Friday by the Labor Department. Roughly 4.4 million U.S. workers quit their jobs in September, and the quits rate rose to 3%, according to the latest edition of the Jobs Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, each a new record. The number of jobs openings stayed roughly even in August at 10.4 million. So there's 10.4 million jobs available out there that people can go get, that people can go and find a job. So the surge in American workers voluntarily leaving their jobs is the latest sign of growing worker power in the recovery labor market. I don't know if I agree on this. I think these mandates that are happening with a lot of these businesses is forcing people to quit because they don't want to, they don't want to get vaccinated, and they're forcing these people to quit their jobs. Is what's happening. So I don't really agree with that. This is a recovering labor market, and I don't agree that this is something that workers have more power. I think this has to do with these mandates that the president is putting in to try to force people to either accept them or they're going to have to move on to something else. So economists sees quits as a window into how willing workers are to leave their current job in search of another role with higher compensation or greater personal fulfillment. That's maybe a possibility. I personally think it's not that. I think it boils down to these mandates and forcing people out of these employments, and they're going to have to go find some other type of employment that doesn't require a mandate. Wages have risen rapidly through 2021, particularly for the lowest paid workers. Now, wages have risen, but inflation has risen way higher than that. So people are actually, their savings, their purchasing power is getting robbed from them. And businesses struggle to fill millions of jobs. Both the percentage and number of working age adults in the labor force are still well below pre-pandemic levels, giving those currently seeking jobs greater leverage and opportunities. The rise of quitting across the labor market is remarkable, but the concentration among a few sectors is eye-opening. Quits are up the most in sectors where most workers in this in-person, relatively low-paying jobs. So Bunker highlighted that sharp jumps in quits within manufacturing as well as leisure and hospitality sectors, both of which were hit hard by the emergency the 19 and are highly sensitive to health concerns among workers. Manufacturing, we don't have manufacturing here in the United States anymore. We used to manufacture everything. All of that got shipped over to China. We manufacture very little products here, which is going to come down and cause a big problem in the future. Leisure and hospitality, that's great. It's a service sector. Those are a lot of jobs that people come in and out of. Those are bars, restaurants. But again, you have a lot of people that are afraid to go into work at these jobs. They're afraid of these mandates. They're afraid that maybe they're going to catch this pandemic. I mean, just cause all kinds of craziness. And I don't think this has to do with people that are in it's not a better labor environment. It's just a matter of they were forced out and they have to go find something else. They're calling this the Great Resignation. It's more of a story about strong demand of workers rather than a rethink of work among higher income workers. Right now, it's just getting to the point where people are going to have to start figuring out what to do with themselves, and they're going to have to figure out how to protect their wealth. Again, getting into Bitcoin, getting into gold and silver is going to be a great place to store your wealth. Go to a local coin dealer. Go to Gemini and Coinbase to try to get into Bitcoin. It's going to help protect your wealth, and if you do that, you're going to be doing so much better, because I feel like we're moving into a digital age, and that currency is going to be moving into this digital currency, and that's going to be so important. Maybe in the future, the Fed's going to have some type of Fed Now coin where they drop stimulus into your phone, but we haven't really seen that yet. They're going to have to come out that pretty quick. I just don't know if Congress is going to get out a fourth stimulus check coming up. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look like Nancy Pelosi is ready to pull the trigger on that. But I'm going to always keep you updated on what's happening with stimulus, what's going on with the economy, what's going on with just anything in general. I'll keep you updated on that. So just keep coming back to these videos and I'll let you know what's happening.